Have you ever been dicked down so good that you ended up in a hospital? Well, that's exactly what happened to me. So if you've been following me, you'd know that recently I went to EDC Thailand and ooh, buddy, did I have a good time. And a huge reason why I had so much fun at EDC Thailand was not because of EDC Thailand itself, but because of the Homepas, sis. These gays, they know how to throw a party, okay sis, okay? The afters are always just so much fun and such a good time. I've talked about it on my channel before, but I think like Homepas are truly like my favorite form of parties. I love raving. I love raving because of that like social aspect, and by God, I love the music. But Homepas are like even more social and a little bit more intimate. So, and I really like that sociability. And also the fact that it can sometimes get pretty steamy, like it's just a little added extra cherry on top. Like I just like really like it, you know? And during one of the Homepas that I attended, I ended up getting invited to my first ever Sexpa, which is basically just an orgy. And I've had similar experiences like at, you know, Sauna Mania, but this was like a little bit different. And yeah, so in this video I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, or how I got invited into the sex spa, and then my experience, so that you know what you should expect if you ever get invited to one of these things. And yeah, this video is gonna get so demonetized, so do me a favor, since I'm gonna make no money on this video anyways, you might as well just like give me a like, right? Help a brother out, but no pressure obviously. I'm just here to have fun, baby. So anyways, let's just get this party rolling. So imagine it's EDC day 1, we went to the rave, had a good time, and now there I was, armed with only my underwear and my phone. I was surrounded by this sea of beautiful gay men in this beautiful house. And then there's this one guy in particular who I thought was just so good looking. Let's call him Salmon. So Salmon was this toned, muscular guy with a cute boys next door face. Just a regular, handsome, very innocent looking, good boy kind of vibe. Like his face was giving, I will never hurt you, honey. But his body was giving, I'm gonna break you. So I found Salmon kind of nitpicking around the snack bar area, and he was like a volunteer for the Homepa, so like he was like, you know, in the background helping to run the show, making sure everything was like going well. And as you know, as I explained on this channel before, the beauty of Homepas is that despite everyone being hot as shit, everyone is actually super approachable and super nice. Well, almost everyone. But like for the most part, everyone's like super chill and super nice. And again, in order to be at a Homepa, you gotta be invited. And that's usually through a friend, right? So when you're at a Homepa, like everyone is like a mutual, at least to like the 2nd degree or something. And because like everyone's like a mutual, it's just super easy to just chat with people and get to know people. Like much easier to do that in a Homepa than it is at a club, okay? Like even me, despite being a shy, nervous bitch, I was easily able to muster up the courage to go and talk to Salmon. Like, because like I said, everyone's like a mutual, right? So you just have to act like they're already your friend, you know? Just be yourself. Just go up there, be all chill and be like, super casual. And that was basically what I did. I was just like, oh hey, how you doing? Like, do you need some help? Like just acting like he was like a good friend of mine already. And Salmon was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And that's, you know, that's basically how we got acquainted. I learned his name and just, you know, chilled around there for a little bit. And then I wandered off into the Homepa jungle again, just to, you know, meet new people and all that kind of stuff. Because as I said, he was like a volunteer, so like he was busy doing other things. But every now and again, I would like circle back to like where he was stationed and just chat with him for a little bit. Each time becoming a little bit friendlier, a little bit more comfortable. And then maybe on the 4th or 5th time I came by, I said something along the lines of, girl, you're still here? It's been like 2 hours, honey. And then he said something along the lines of, yeah, I'm still here, but you know, I just want to help out because, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then we started chatting a little bit, chatting some more, and then our bulges kind of like, you know, just... He noticed it, I noticed it, then we did it again. And then we started making out. As you do. Then at some point he said something like, hey, I'll find you when I finish up here, okay? And then we can go ahead and continue. And I was like, ooh, slay, yes. I'll find you later, okay? And then I bumbled off somewhere again. And sadly, that was the last time I saw him that night. And it wasn't until like the next day when I texted him and it was like, hey, you know, it was nice to meet you the other day. So, you know, after the festival tonight, you know, are you doing anything afterwards? Then after some time, he responded to me and he was like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm like busy hosting something tonight. And I was like, oh, okay, it's okay, you know, have fun. But then he was like, oh, but like, I'm gonna be hosting like this Sexpa thing. Do you want to come and join me? Brother, how do you say no to that? So after the last day of EDC, it was like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. The road was totally empty. The streets were nicely lit despite the fact that I was like kind of in the middle of nowhere. Just one short brisk walk later and I was in the house. By the time I was there was already like a sizable amount of people. Like maybe like 20 people were there already. Like everyone was still in their clothes though, aside from Salmon, who was shirtless and in his underwear. His bulge was bulging more than like if you stuck a pool ball down in his undies. Like he was... Honey, just thinking about it right now still gets me like all hot and bothered. But anyways, yeah, the house was 2 floors and the entrance, so like going into the house was like, you know, you have the living room and also the kitchen and like this little kitchen island counter. And that kitchen island counter was basically where I seated myself for the next 30 minutes to an hour. And like Salmon was like right next to me, but he was like busy, like, you know, on his phone, like coordinating things with other people. So as you can imagine, actually the first hour is kind of fucking awkward. Like there's 20 dudes in front of me, all very hot, by the way. And let's be real for a second, okay? Like I've made progress at the gym and I'm very happy and thankful about that, of course. But I'm also very aware that I am nowhere near the level of muscularity as some of these other folks. Body dysmorphia was in the room, honey, and she was performing and she was lip syncing for her life, okay? She was present. As I do when I am nervous, I was just tapping on my phone, staring at my wallpaper, just to pass the time. And thankfully some other men, like, you know, they came by to chat with me and they were nice, you know. They probably noticed I was alone and didn't know anyone. So thank you for those guys. But like for the most part, I was mostly just, you know, being a wallflower and also just kind of like, you know, looking at the other guests. Like the moments before the thing actually starting is such an interesting feeling. Because at some point, you know, like, some of these dudes are gonna be slamming their salami in my buns. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know who they are, and like, we're not even looking at each other right now, and yet, in a matter of hours, we're gonna be closer than most people would be. It's a strange feeling, but it's also kind of super hot. Anyways, after maybe an hour, more people started trickling in, and then Salmon was finally like, okay, now we're gonna be starting, so from this point on, no more clothes. So I was standing by the bar counter, just very slowly taking off my underwear when Salmon came by. He was checking some things. He was like still kind of busy, but you know, I was making conversation with him because he was like the only person that I was familiar with at the time and also just comfortable with in general. So I nudged him a little bit and like, you know, he gave me like a slight smile. How are you? He said. And I was like, oh, I'm doing great. Like, how are you? I said as my hand, you know, reached down to, you know... That's when I knelt down and gave him a prayer. It didn't last for very long though, because Salmon, again, obviously had to attend to other things. So it was like a nice, quick little bit of fun. But by the time I stood up, pretty much everyone has already like went upstairs. Like the living room at that point was like nearly empty, save for like a handful of people. And of that handful was this guy who I recognized immediately. In fact, we looked at each other and there was clearly some recognition. Let's call him Pizza. Pizza is this burly man, thick in all the right places, honey, okay? Muscular, chest bulging, kind of hairy, just a big juicy man, a man's man, okay? So Pizza looks at me and I look at him like... And obviously I recognized him, right? I'm pretty good with faces, so I recognize people easily. So I was like, oh, hey, how are you doing? And he was like, you know, a little, maybe apprehensive a little bit at first. He was like, oh, yeah, good. And he was like, you know, give me the old up and down look, like just kind of like assessing me a little bit. So I made it really obvious for him. I was like, oh yeah, we definitely met before. Your name is Pizza, right? And he was like, oh yeah, we must have met at a party somewhere, right? And I was like, yeah, some party, yeah. In truth though, I remembered every single party I ran into him in. Like it was at least 3 separate different Homepas that I ran into this guy who we introduced each other every single time, but he still didn't remember. That's totally fine. Like, honey, I saw you get sucked off in one of those parties, okay? I remember these things. Obviously, I didn't say any of that. And eventually his boyfriend came by. Let's call him Breadstick. But anyways, after chatting for a little bit, the 3 of us ended up going upstairs to the bedrooms where, you know, where all the pancakes are getting flipped. Walking in, the sounds of moans and meat slapping against meat was already singeing in the air. And then there was me and some other wallflowers just kind of like standing by the side, kind of like just watching the action. I was still kind of fighting that nervous energy that I had when I first walked into the house. And, you know, I kind of half expected Pizza and Breadstick to just like, you know, go in and join in the fun and like go in without me. Just like, you know, leave me to my own devices and just join the hodgepodge. But to my surprise, Pizza actually like, you know, leans over and whispers to me like, oh man, I feel so nervous. Excuse me? Like at that moment, when he said that to me, I felt like my third eye opened because it really kind of shocked and put some perspective back into me. Because for me, like pizza was like, he fit in right with those muscle gays, right? Like he was one of them. He was big, he was muscular, thunder thighs for days, chest bigger than a pillow. He was juicy, he was handsome. He had like no reason at all to be nervous. Like he fit in by default. You know what I'm saying? Like if you compare me to him, there's like no competition, honestly. And yet he's the one who's nervous. And I literally like said this to him, like, bro, you have like no reason at all to be nervous. I mean, like, look at these. And I used that as an excuse to grab his massive mountains. And I was just like juggling them, like, look at these, man. Look at these. Why are you nervous? Just go in there. Just have your fun. And like, you know, he kind of laughed and he kind of like squirmed a little bit anxiously. And it was kind of cute. And Breadstick was also kind of laughing and was like saying like, yeah, he's just a nervous guy. My boy's just shy. And then at some point, Breadstick kind of like pushes us together and it was like, hey, how about you start with this one? This one. And you know, on the outside, I was like, oh, I mean, you know, like trying to play it cool, trying to be like nonchalant, trying to like, you know, be chill about it. Because yes.
Fuck me. Oh, that's not wrong.
So anyways, I started sucking them both off. And eventually, Breadstick, I don't know, maybe he got bored or something, then he went off to go find another top. So then it was just like me and pizza. And you know, since we were alone, I continued to do my divine duty. And eventually, since we were like conveniently like, you know, doing stuff next to this cabinet that had like a bottle of lube on it. So, you know, at some point, I just like let him turn me around and then just let that man smash. It was fun. At some point, we moved to the beanbags and then the bed, and after a good 10 minutes or so, decided to take a break. And the best thing about pizza is that he had a nice, hefty sack of potatoes. Like Bottoms, come here, okay? Come here. Bottoms, I don't know about you, but like, low-key, you know that feeling where like that a big, hefty sack is like slapping against you with every thrust? You feel me? You feel me? That shit hot as fuck. And pizza's potatoes, they were hitting, literally. Anyways, after a good bit of fun, we took a break and I was starting to feel a lot more comfortable at that point. Because now that I did the nasty, I don't know, I just felt like a big weight was lifted off my shoulders. Like I didn't have to worry about anyone anymore. I didn't have to worry about feeling excluded or like feeling like that odd one out because, you know, now that the thing has already happened, like I felt like I belonged instantly and like it was just like free sailing from there. Like I already had my fun. Now it's just whatever comes my way, you know, like there's no pressure anymore. So I was just like hovering around, standing by the bed, just happily watching the action. And every now and again, a guy would come by, brushing past me. Sometimes things would happen, sometimes things wouldn't happen. And then at some point, I somehow managed to find myself on my back on the bed, like, oh my God, just an open garden ready to be fertilized. And then like, oh my God, this super hot guy came forward, his dick throbbing in his hand. He looked at me, I looked at him. No words were needed, honey. Anyways, we started doing stuff until he stopped and he was like, hey, can we switch to doggy? And for you, honey, I'd be whatever you want. I'd be a pretzel. So I got on all fours, let the man do his thing, and oh my God, even his voice. Like he has such a straight bro voice, which makes things so much harder. And he's so vocal too, like,
oh, fuck, bro. Oh, damn, this ass, bro. Oh, yeah, dude.
like that was a terrible impression, but you know what I mean? Just like the super straight fratty kind of guy. Like I'd probably explode just from his voice alone, TBH. And yeah, that was basically my whole night. Eventually Salmon came by when he was finally free and unshackled from his duties. We had a good time there as well. And just the whole experience was just so interesting and so liberating. Like it was absolutely, that was like absolutely the most promiscuous thing I have ever done. And yeah, like I said, honestly, the whole experience is just so freeing because like, you know, I feel like we're taught to kind of see these kind of things as being very taboo. And like, I get it. Like some people would be appalled at the thought of having sex with a stranger or with like that many strangers. And you know what? I think that's totally fair. But also, it's also kind of none of your business. Like, I get it though. Like, at the same time, I do think there is an argument to be had where because us gays are so promiscuous, the act of having sex with strangers regularly diminishes the very act itself. Like, sex is not seen as being emotional anymore. It's not personal anymore. Like, it just doesn't have meaning anymore. And yeah, like, I can see that. That's kind of true. And I see it within myself as well. Like, sometimes when straight people, when I talk to them and they're like complaining about their relationship problems to me, what they might describe as cheating or something very problematic, sometimes to me just feels totally innocent. Like, for example, I recall one girl was like complaining that her boyfriend kissed someone on the cheek or something, and apparently that was like a big no for her. And like, you know what, maybe it's because I'm just so detached and so desensitized from the connection between emotion and physical intimacy, but I just did not see it as a problem, like at all. It was just like a kiss on the cheek, like get over yourself. If anything, that says more about you, sister, than it does about him, because it just it's your insecurity coming out. Like, I don't know, I just found it to be innocent, and maybe that's a me problem, maybe I'm in the wrong. And I guess I do see like there is an element of sadness to what I just described. Because for me, I don't see sex or physical intimacy to be super emotional or something that is purely emotional anymore. For me, it's something as similar to just like jacking off, almost like a need. And I, maybe that highlights some deeper problems within myself, but like, currently how I see it is, it's just an aspect of the culture, the gay culture that I've been brought up in. I don't think gay promiscuity is inherently a bad thing. It's just like a different set of standards and a different culture than what the heteronormative people experience. Different needs and different biology. Like, I mean, there's a reason why like the stereotype exists where like, a lesbian would get married after the first date. And of course there's a stereotype of like a man not remembering the face of the man he just fucked in the bathroom stall after their first dinner date. Like those stereotypes, like they're there for a reason. I mean, the point is, I don't even know if I have a point, to be honest. Like, just reflecting over this whole experience, I came out of it feeling like a whole new world has opened up to me. Because this was the first time where I was in an environment like that, where inhibitions were like just totally gone and normal. But then again, I guess I was in another situation that was very similar, like with Sonomania. But I feel like the Sexpa is a little bit different because these are people who are like, they're also friends. I'll definitely see these people again. You know what I mean? Like we're within the same kind of network. So it's a little bit of a different feeling. And like to have like these physical moments with these people, knowing that like we're probably gonna hang out and party again together at some point, like it's like truly like just a sex for sex sake kind of situation. And like it's just like the first time I've kind of had that kind of encounter or been in this kind of situation. And yeah, I just think it's just a neat experience. 10 out of 10 would do again, even if I ended up having tenesmus afterwards. But you know what? That's what I get for being DP'd by and low-key, this party was also kind of the reason why my fistula started swelling up like crazy into like this black balloon. Like, oh my god. Not even kidding. I got fucked so good that them's dicks sent me to the hospital, honey. And while I am kind of paying for the price now, sort of, I really still just enjoyed the whole experience. It's very liberating and fun. And also like, how do I put this? I wouldn't say it was like an ego boost, but it was more like, okay. So I don't think I have the hottest face or the hottest body. Like, I think there's room for improvement in both aspects, right? And I'm okay with that. And I'm happy for the opportunity to work on myself every day, go to the gym, do the skincare, all that, working on bettering myself. But this party also made me realize that no matter what you look like, whether you got an average, only slightly juicy body like me, or if you're built like a tank like pizza, and just like with pizza, you're probably never gonna be satisfied with yourself. You'll always feel like there's someone else in the room who's better than you, or it's just like totally out of your league. Like honestly, honey, if you put those same people in that room, in another room, in a totally different context, I would never, ever, in a million years, ever think that they would find me cute or attractive. Like, because how could someone like that go for someone like me? Like that kind of feeling, that kind of like negative self-talk. But thanks to this experience, the truth is, I realized that like I am severely guilty of underestimating myself. They liked me just like how I liked them. And I have their dicks memorized and imprinted on my ass to prove it. You and I are much better looking than what we give ourselves credit for. That hot guy across the room, you never really know what he's going through or what he's interested in, Like I think back to how anxious Pizza was and how it never would have occurred to me that he was feeling that way until he verbalized it. Everyone just wants to fit in, No matter how someone looks, like that feeling is universal. So bottoms, tops, sides, whatever. I hope you realize that you are worth more than you realize. Even on the days you don't feel cunty, you are the cunt. You feel me? So, remember to be kind to each other. Try not to judge, okay? We're all here just trying to get by, honey. Trying to fuck our crushes. So, let's all support each other in that regard, okay? No more dumb, petty bullshit. Just good vibes and good sex. Anyways, that's everything I have to say in this video. Thanks for tuning in into my very chaotic life. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with me, and I guess I'll see you guys next time, okay? See you!
It's you, it's you.